Good afternoon and welcome back to My Harlem Portraits, the show that wants to shed a light on the fundamental contribution of African Americans to the building of this country and on Black excellence. Today, we have a very special show with a very special guest all the way from the Virgin Islands. We have with us Dr. Dawn Henry. Welcome, Dr. Henry.
Thank you, Maria. Nice to be here.
I'm so happy to have you with us. So Dr. Henry is the former commissioner for the Department of Planning and Natural Resources and former legal counsel for the Division of Environmental Protection for St. Thomas. And she is now running for the Senate. And this is the reason why I'm interviewing her, because her platform is a real platform. She has points. She has objectives that she wants to obtain and reach. And she has a platform that is concrete. And not every politician has that. So when I met you, when I came to St. Thomas and I saw what you were doing, I said, this lady needs to be known by the viewers of My Harlem Portraits. So here we are.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you so much. And
So
I just want to let your audience know in transparency that I'm not a doctor, I am an attorney.
But you have a doctorate, right?
Yes, but we're not called doctors. Like
okay.
We're not, we're just called attorneys, legal counsel. Yes.
Thank you for telling me, because in Italy, everybody who has a doctorate is called a doctor.
Oh, okay, nice.
Perfect. So let's start from, you were born in St. Thomas, born and raised in St. Thomas, went to school in St. Thomas, and then to college in the States. Tell me a little bit about that, and then we're going to talk about your campaign.
Sure. So I was born here on St. Thomas, and I have two brothers. One of them has passed away, and my parents are immigrants from the island of Antigua. Mm-hmm. They moved here in the mid-1950s. So they definitely considered the Virgin Islands their home. Both of them have since passed away. And being born here, I was fully educated here up until the 12th grade. I graduated from the Charlotte Amalia High School, go Chicken Hawks. And then I went to college at the University of Oklahoma. So I lived in Norman, Oklahoma for 8 years. And that's where I studied and I got my Juris Doctorate as an attorney. And as soon as I got my law degree, I knew that I wanted to return back home to make my contributions to the territory. So I did return home and started clerking at, then it was called the Territorial Court of the United States Virgin Islands.
And tell us a little bit, what were you doing at that point? What was your job?
So at that point, as a law clerk, I started out doing the traditional things that law clerks do, doing research for the judge, and my judge name at the time was Judge HENRY Esq.is. And as I went along, he assigned me to working with reconciliation hearings in the family court. And from doing that, and I was about 23 years old then.
Oh, very young.
Yeah, when I was clerking for Judge Smock, and I had a real introduction into things that the not so good things that happen in families. But what was really impressive for me in that experience is that I learned that we can heal. We can heal through conversation, through therapy, and families can really reunite. So it really left me with that impression that brokenness can be healed.
And that's very important. And communication is the key.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And we call it today now, everybody's focused on it, good mental health.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And after that, you were there for 8 years, right?
No, my after I finished working, when I started working at the Department of Planning and Natural Resources, and that's when I started my environmental law career. And I started back in 2004, and I worked there until December of 2018. So I worked as an environmental attorney, and then I was promoted or appointed to become the commissioner for the department in the last 4 years that I worked in the Department of Planning and Natural Resources. So the environment, it's very dear to me. And having been here, Maria, yourself, you can see why just not me, but the people of the Virgin Islands, we're really fierce about protecting our environment, because just looking around, you can see it's worth protecting. And I think we've done an awesome job in doing that.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I was very pleasantly surprised to find how beautiful and clean the waters and the beaches are, because it's not the same everywhere you go, especially now with all this tourism and so on. So I think that that's fundamental, because you have resources. The resources you have, the natural resources you have, are fundamental to be
Yes.
protected. And I know that you are very much into that. And I am an environmentalist also, because when I was working in the European Parliament, I was in charge of the planning and so on for the environmental committee, and I was the officer in charge of relating what the environmental committee had adopted and so on. So
Nice.
environment is very important, and we can see what's going on in the world right now. You know, everywhere in Italy, there are 40, 41 degrees, our degrees, which it's unusual.
I
And
saw
it's been
that.
like that for the longest. So this is terrible.
Yes, yes.
So this brings me to your campaign, because you have in your campaign 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 very specific points that you want to develop. Let's start from the very first one. Stop gentrification, build communities through revitalization. Tell me about that.
Yes. So, Maria, as you know, I know most of us are familiar with the word gentrification. And I have noticed here in the Virgin Islands, and specifically throughout St. Thomas and St. John, that we have been noticing a lot of really big villas popping up everywhere. And we also have been seeing where individuals with substantial means, they are able to purchase property and they're renovating. And this is bringing tax dollars to our government. And somebody would think, what's wrong with that? That's all good. But you know, we need to recognize that there are consequences to when property values rise above the average Virgin Islanders income. And when we start to struggle and we become displaced because we can't no longer afford to live in our communities. And that is called gentrification. And our local people, you know, you hear it over and over again. People are feeling like they can no longer afford to live here in the Virgin Islands. And you look at St. John, and it's a prime example of how this term gentrification can really spread in the twinkling of an eye. And so I want to bring awareness to this issue. And instead of us doing renovations in neighborhood where people are displaced, I would like to focus on revitalization, where that now takes into account the people that are living there, and you renovate the communities, you bring back purpose to those communities, focusing on who is there, and they are the primary beneficiaries of this revitalization. So I think if we have laws from now focusing in that direction, we can stop gentrification from spreading. I think it will become a win-win for everybody because we will be able to still work on revitalizing our communities. And in that revitalization, Maria, it's not just structures. We are also talking about our human capital, the people that live there.
Mhm.
So that revitalization for me also means being able to bring to the table where we're educating our youngsters, where they are being able to meet the challenges
Mhm.
of the emerging world and the changing world. So instead of just focusing on the typical careers like attorneys and doctors, we now right now see that we need skilled craftsmen.
Exactly.
We need
That's
builders,
happening all over, in Europe also.
and we
No trade, no trade, and it's
no trade.
badly needed.
Yes. So
Absolutely right.
revitalization has to take that into account, and also being able to bring small businesses within these communities so they meet the needs of people that are living in the community. So you don't necessarily have to drive out, get in traffic, but small business can thrive because it's meeting the needs of the community.
Right. And then I also, being from New York, from here, seeing what happened, I know that after the hurricanes, both in St. Thomas, in the Virgin Islands, in the British, and in Puerto Rico, there were a lot of investors who were just waiting to come down there and buy property for very little money. And that's called speculation.
And Maria, I think you're raising a very important point that people don't tend to want to acknowledge. I think right now we have a housing crisis where, again, Virgin Islanders can't afford the rents that are being charged. And we have identified that the beginning of this high price rent was after the hurricanes, because we had contractors coming in here that were able to pay these ridiculous amount of rent. And that just drive the market up, where salaries didn't move. As a matter of fact, a lot of people were out of work. So we have a crisis going on here. And as a senator, I would like to start to pass legislation to address these issues before it just runs away and we can't catch up.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Now we come to your second point, as important as the first one, healthcare that keeps us home. That's your title. Tell
Yes.
us what you mean by that, because you have very specific point, create incentive for Virgin Islands to receive their healthcare at home, and so on and so on. Tell us about that.
So as Virgin Islanders, we tend to, when we have especially major health issues, we tend to get on a plane and we fly to New York, or we go to Miami or Texas. And it started out with more so major things, but now with how accessible airline flights are, we're doing it even for the most routine exams and the most routine healthcare needs. And what is happening with that is it's causing an export of these financial dollars. So we are having Virgin Islands health insurance monies, the lion's share of it being spent in other states. And the consequence of that is our healthcare system is languishing. We don't have enough money to meet the needs of the people of the Virgin Islands. And as a Virgin Islander, I understand why we go abroad. But I am coming, especially as I am getting older, and my recent experiences with my own dad, again, I am realizing that if we don't address this issue now, we're going to be very regretful.
Very sorry.
And I see healthcare as an economy in of itself.
Mhm.
So if we could provide incentives for our people to remain here, and we can start to keep those dollars in the territory, we can start to retain more full-time doctors that are working in the hospital, get more specialized care to meet our needs. We can have passes within the Virgin Islands where people can travel from St. Thomas to St. Croix or from St. John to St. Croix to get specialized care. But we have to recognize that we need to be intentional about this plan and that we can do it and that it's necessary. It's necessary. And I just recently, Maria, was hearing a story about just today, a young man, he was on St. John. He doesn't live on St. John, but he was on St. John at the time. He lives on St. Thomas, and he had an episode. He's diabetic, and he wasn't able to get the care he needed on St. John. They couldn't get him over on St. Thomas quick enough, and the young man passed away.
My God. Yeah.
So this healthcare issue we're talking about, especially for the St. Johnians, it is a need. And we all have to acknowledge that it's something that we have failed at. And we need to see that whether you're rich, poor, no matter your race or your background, there is going to become a point in time if you live here in this territory, especially on St. John, where you're going to need this healthcare system. So again, just having this single mind of purpose that this healthcare is critical, I know that we can meet this challenge because the monies are there. The monies are there. The economy, the healthcare economy. We spend about $150 million in insurance, but the lion's share of it leaves the territory.
Right. And it's terrible because it's a double problem. You don't have the care you need, and you cannot build on the care you need because you spend the money abroad. That's terrible. I didn't understand that that's what you meant by at home.
Yes. Yes.
That's really terrible.
Yes,
That's
we want to keep healthcare at home. We really do.
We go to your next point is resilient people build resilient environments. Tell us a little bit about that also.
So I came up with this because I know that we talk a lot about the environment, right? And how crucial and essential it is because as humans, we're not separate from our environment. Our environment is who we are and it is a part of us. But I have noticed when life is a struggle and you're busy working 2 and 3 jobs, you may not have the time to dedicate to doing some of the environmental things and picking up some of the environmental causes that maybe someone else may. So what I have noticed is that if we have resilient people where our basic needs are met, in response to that, we would be able to continue to build a resilient environment. And for me, I know that, let's take, for example, the whole issue of climate change that we were talking about earlier. I want for us to be able to start to focus on regenerating our mangroves.
I was looking at that point that I think is really, really important.
Yes. And our coral reefs, because we know that these are habitats for the creatures that live in our oceans. They spawn there, and not are they only our habitats, but they also provide protection.
That's right.
For us from these storms, these hurricanes. So these systems keep giving back to us. And especially in Florida, I have to say they've been Florida, Hawaii, and Australia. They've been really leaders in coming up with these new scientific methods for helping to regenerate our coral reefs. And I really would like to see the Virgin Islands get ahead of that and get more involved in it, because it will pay us back beyond measure.
Absolutely.
Beyond measure. Another thing that's dear to me, and I know you as well, is our beaches. And one thing that as working in DPNR for so many years is all of the waters in the Virgin Islands, they are designated as swimmable. I don't know if you knew that.
Yes,
So
I saw it.
okay, yeah. So we have a
Blue, you have a blue flag.
yes, yes. So we have a high standard here in the Virgin Islands to continue to upkeep. And one of the ways that I really think that we need to strengthen that is to pay attention to the laws that deals with mooring and anchoring of vessels, especially at beaches where people swim.
Yeah.
So I would really like for us as a community to have a discussion about that and to really strengthen the laws, because these waters are sacred and we have to continue to do our part to make sure they stay as pristine, clean, and beautiful as they are today.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Then you have your last 2 points, which are extremely important also: food and energy security and fiscal responsible government. Food and energy security, one thing I really noticed there is that the prices you pay for food are even higher than the prices we pay in New York. And I thought this was high. So definitely there is something to do there. Go ahead.
And Maria, not only are food prices higher here in the Virgin Islands, but also energy, the cost of electricity. I think the last time I looked at it, we were the second highest in the nation.
Oh, wow.
We are paying, I think it's maybe 50 something cents, 49 cents per kilowatt hour. It is very high. And our salaries, no.
Yeah.
So it's very, very difficult at times to make ends meet here because of the cost of food and the cost of energy. So we want to be, because everything it's imported.
Yeah.
So we need to be able to start to get some food security, where our Department of Agriculture, as a senator, I would want to see that this department receives the funding that it needs, that it can carry out its regulatory mandate. And also, the farmers that we have here in the territory and the fishers that we have here in the territory, we need to be able to support them, that they can become entrepreneurs, where they are able to have their own land, have their own farming equipment, have their own water supply, and really be able to make economic strides and profits off of farming. And the only way that we can do that is by, again, us collectively seeing the importance of food security. And I think Ukraine is a very good example of how you can be going about living your normal life and things just get turned upside down.
Yes.
So we need to, here in this territory, we need to start to plan and really make strides at implementing these things for our people so that we could be on better footing.
Yeah. And the last, we have only 1 minute left: fiscal responsible government. That's
Sure.
a very important thing too.
It is. So, in the 1 minute, I just would like to say that we need to be more responsible about spending the money that we have. And as a former commissioner, I believe that I would be able to be instrumental in assisting these agencies and entities in spending their monies timely so that we can receive more money from the federal government and also from the treasury of the government of the Virgin Islands.
Perfect. Thank you so much. This has been a really important discussion. As we say in Italian, break a leg. I'm sure that your campaign is going to be very, very important. And if you manage to be a senator, when you will become senator, I know you'll be doing some very important achievements, and I will come and interview again.
Thank you so much, Maria, for having me. And I just want to remind the people of the Virgin Islands that your voices matter, you matter, I matter, and we matter.
And that's your slogan.
That is my slogan. Thank you so much for having me, Maria.
Thank you. And see you, for my viewers, see you at 12:30 next Saturday. Bye-bye.